Yeah, I don't know, man. And it's one of those things where, like I said, I don't like it, but there's not really anything we can do about it. I mean, like I could choose not to use it. That doesn't mean that other people can't.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and then uh, like it's going to. I don't think there's any way around it. AI is going to take jobs, and it will create jobs. But there are definitely going to be people that just refuse to embrace it, and they just get left behind. I think there's no question about that.
I guess I kind of feel that in the creative world, it's going to eliminate talent because like you said, if you've got talented writers out there who can go out and write an amazing piece of work, and then you've got shitty writers out there who could go out and use AI now and create amazing pieces of work. It's kind of going to make the talented people irrelevant. You know what I mean? Same with like a photo. Like if you're a mediocre photographer, um, but then you've got somebody out there who's an incredible photographer, and then all of a sudden, you're able to implement AI and take a shitty photo and make it look as good as this talented guy. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of defeats the purpose if everybody, you know what I mean? It doesn't like you're no longer really talented if everybody can do it, even if it is in essence using AI to help them get there. Is that, you know what I'm saying? It's like it takes, I don't know, man, especially in like I said, in an artistic world, I think that's a huge threat.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, I've had that same thought, but then I don't know, like things have gotten so easy now. I mean, like so many of the barriers have come down for just speaking strictly like in the artistic world of like photography, filmmaking, whatever you name it. Like not even just AI, but technology in general has brought all the barriers down, and it's so much easier to get into it now. But yet, I don't think there's any more people getting into it than there used to be because I feel like that talent and that the cream is always going to sort of rise to the top because I think you're probably right. A non-talented person can do better stuff now, but they're not really. I don't think they're really doing it because they don't give a shit. And the people that are driven are going to still be driven. They'll just probably go a little bit further by themselves now with AI and different technologies. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I just, like I said, man, I don't like the idea of, I guess, people getting credit where credit's not due. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if somebody could post an amazing photo that if you looked at the raw photo, it looked like shit, but all of a sudden it looks incredible online, because of AI. Because that's the other thing, right? It's not even a matter of like if you ran something through Lightroom, obviously it looks significantly better than your raw photo. But like you could just take a picture of a fucking cup sitting on a desk and have AI fucking cut that out and add its own background. It'll actually add its own lighting, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, and all of a sudden you got this amazing photo that the photographer didn't even do anything, literally.
Yeah. Well,
I don't,
I mean, what's that?
it just feels cheap, man, to me, and I don't know. I don't like it. I guess maybe if I was on the other end of the spectrum, um, where I was struggling, maybe I would feel different. Um, but I don't know. I don't know that I would because I would feel like I was cheating to get there too, and I'm just not. I don't know. I guess it depends on people's morals too, right? Some people
I,
some people do anything to win. Like they don't care if it's
yeah.
cheating or not, and some people,
Well,
won't.
I still think it's part of that transition because I think I think that like for you, for instance, with what you do, because you have like so much time and so much talent that it requires to do what you do, that as you embrace these new tools, you're like basically somebody that's wanting to imitate you that's using AI is going to get certain results, but then someone like you who's already done it and has the raw talent that's also using AI is going to get, it's still going to be exponentially better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But because like because you because even if you're just like brainstorming, because I had the same thought about scripts, because I have a funny script idea that you and I should do, and I'm brainstorming back and forth, and then like Chad has given me ideas that are, some were not helpful and some were actually quite funny, or some just like spark something else in my mind, and I had that same thought like, well, fuck, am I even doing this? But
Yeah.
then I'm like, well, what I can come up with brainstorming with chat versus what a professional screenwriter could come up with brainstorming with chat, it's still going to be, they're still going to be way better, you know than what I can come up with, because it still has to have that human influence. But really it doesn't even matter, because I think that eventually it's there, we're not going to have like photographers and screenwriters and stuff. It's going to be more like you're going to be sort of like in charge of your own little production company,
Mhm.
basically, if that makes sense. Because a lot of those tasks are going to become irrelevant, because why do them if the end result is to produce amazing content, whatever it is, and it basically would be like the equivalent of you hiring a production assistant, or something.
Yeah.
And so some of those tasks, like, imagine if if your channel exploded and you're making all this money, and you're like, you know what, I want to hire some talented editor or something, and really take it to the next level. Well, you would spend months teaching them and collaborating with them on how to get your style, and you'd feel good like, wow, I'm growing, I've got an employee,
Mhm.
this is a legit studio now. Well, you're just accomplishing that by yourself now with AI. That's kind of how I think of it, at least.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because I definitely notice a lot of pushback, which is good. A lot of people don't support it because there's a lot of people that have been using AI to. It's interesting, right? They'll use, I don't know exactly what they're doing or using, but they're using AI programs to make. They'll take a still photo and turn it into like a moving short video.
Mm,
I mean, admittedly, it is kind of cool, but it's very obvious that it's AI. But the interesting thing is that, like, I've noticed, man, there's a lot of pushback against it in the community because people that post that, either people are making negative comments about it, or people that might be getting 1,000 plus, say, likes on a video are getting like 50 likes. So people are intentionally, you know, ignoring it or not giving it any. Um, you know time, basically. They're not spending their time looking at it or liking it or anything like that. S
really, just
Yeah.
just because it's AI.
Oh, yeah, and like I said, a lot of people doing that because, like I said, I've seen people that's a perfect example of, because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, man," like, you start to see it a lot, and a lot of it's smaller accounts too, and I'm sure they're hoping it'll help them grow, but then you're seeing some bigger accounts do it, and that's when you're getting people commenting, with negative feedback. And then, like I said, if you go back and look at some of their other videos and stuff where they might be getting, like I said, 1,000 or thousands of views and likes and that kind of thing, and all of a sudden you look at it, it's like, oh shit, that's been posted for 48 hours. This person usually in 2-3 hours has 1,000 likes. It's been posted for 2 days and they've got 53 likes. And that's obviously very intentional. People are obviously intentionally not doing that,
Wow.
just to kind of
Now,
show their disgust, I think, with it.
sorry, I couldn't find the mute button in time. Well, no, okay, now tell me this: those accounts, do they normally post things that is like reflective of their talent?
Yeah,
If
the
that
bigger
makes
that's
sense.
what I'm saying, the bigger ones that do, yeah, some of them do that do really good work. That's what's interesting, is you'll see 'em
Oh,
you'll
and
see 'em
so
doing that, and then, like I said, you can just tell, kinda as a general consensus, um, that people in the community don't care for it. I think they have a similar concern that I do. They just, um, I don't know, man, it's just something weird and creepy about it. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel the same way. I actually, I kind of had, like a several months long freak out about it, because it
Mhm.
was around the time that I really wanted to get back into writing, and I had all these ideas, and I was like, what's the fucking point? I mean, if it, like,
Yeah.
what's the point? This is awful. I mean, if I mean, once AI gets to a certain point, there's no way I can compete. Literally, and then of course I was like, well, maybe the marketplace, maybe people don't want to, maybe they're not going to care, what AI has to say, and they're going to stick to human authors and stuff. But then, so I really freaked out hard about it, honestly, for a while, and then eventually I just came around, with enough research, and I was like, well, even if you know even if AI does get that good, and it's a matter of me just collaborating with it, I just need to think of myself like the owner of a production company or the owner of a
Mhm.
publishing company, and I think of AI as like having a team, and now I'm the head of a creative team,
Yeah.
and it's a matter of me communicating my vision, so I guess it's identity. There's maybe if it goes that direction, then the identity of certain professions might be lost,
Yeah.
and that but that I don't I'm not saying that's a good thing.
Mhm.
And it may not go that way. I mean, because like you say, people might say, well, you're not working hard for this. You're just putting,
Exactly.
auto generated shit out there. I don't
That's
care about
that's
this.
the problem. The people that have put the time in and have learned and grown and gotten better and that do still put the time in, and then like that's exactly like you said, can go and auto generate something, having not put in the time. It's just I don't know, man. There's something about it that just feels wrong.
But okay, but I wonder this though, like those are accounts that put a lot of work into creating whatever, like video or photos. And if they go through and like cheat and use AI,
Mhm.
then you're saying that people respond on purpose less to that. But I
Yes.
wonder if it were a channel that was all about some sort of a story or some sort of like if it were a channel that were whether it was through photos or videos or whatever, or even like I guess a podcast that was all about a like story or news or something like that. And if they used AI to accelerate their ability to make more of it,
Mhm.
I wonder if people would respond to that. Does
I
that make
think
sense?
yeah, I think I don't know, man. I wonder if part of it, it is a visual thing. You know what I mean? Because like if somebody were say doing a podcast that were telling stories and using the AI to help them create those stories, I mean, if you didn't say so, like nobody would know. You know what I mean? Whereas with something visual, it's very obvious right now where when something is AI, or even whether it's video or photo. Um, so I think that you know what I mean, like that. I think that probably applies differently to different um, types of art, I guess you could say.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, and it's interesting because platforms like Instagram have, even though it doesn't work for shit, like they have a feature when you post something, you can actually check the box to say that used AI to help create something, and then also they claim that their system would actually go through and detect stuff like that was used AI to create it, and it will actually put a little thing in like the top corner of the screen that says I forget what it says. I haven't seen one in a long time, but it says like created with AI or something like that. But
Really?
I could tell you it doesn't work for shit because all these people that have been posting these super obvious AI things, it doesn't say that on their screens at the top. So I don't know if they maybe stopped using that or what, but I mean at least they showed some sort of a I guess I don't know if that was from the community or if just their own concern or something. I mean, because that would be that I guess that would make a difference too, right? It's like right now it's still obvious that it's AI, but obviously the AI gets better and better. So at some point, will it be to the point where you won't be able to tell a difference? And at least, if they had a system implemented that could pretty much flawlessly detect that kind of thing, at least you couldn't be trying to get credit for something that you didn't really do. I think that would
Yeah,
probably
that's a
go
good
a long
point.
ways too, right?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess it's just it's all about like how you're like how you're claiming it, or like you say,
Yeah,
or if you're trying to get credit for AI, that's one thing, and that makes sense, and I could definitely see people not responding well to that. But depending on the medium, and if you're just trying to put content out there, and you're able to use that, and it accelerates your process, and it's like, hey, this is, maybe I would imagine, certain audiences would love that, because that just means that the creator is going to be freed up to
yeah.
create more of whatever the people like to begin with.
Well, and there are accounts I've seen out there, and they're actually very cool where they do all kinds of crazy stuff with AI visually, and they're strictly just, it's all AI and that's all it is, and they're not claiming anything other than, usually the names of the accounts have something in them that implicate that they're AI, or you look at the bio section, it'll say, stuff about that. So it's fully transparent, and that's kind of cool. Like I don't know. I don't have an issue with that. Um, I don't know how much effort somebody's having to put into that to generate that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I think that's kind of like the gray area there is are you using it to enhance what you're doing? Are you using it to completely, you know, create the art itself? Um, it's like I said, it's kind of a gray area, but I think people will respond differently depending on how honest you are about something.
Now, look, I agree. I find it terrifying. I mean, I really do. I find AI on many levels, terrifying for what it could mean. And I think I guess I guess I'm channeling that angst into adoption at this point,
Mhm.
because I'm determined to not get left behind by this. I never jumped on social media, and I'm honestly, I'm kind of glad, because it
Mhm.
didn't. That was sort of our first contact with AI. And I mean, we've talked about this a million times. I mean, so many people are hopelessly fucking addicted to scrolling, and
Oh,
it's
dude.
all it's
Yeah,
awful.
big
Dude,
time.
people at work, literally, when they banned TikTok. Well, first of all, I couldn't believe it. I thought they were joking, but when they actually banned TikTok, people were. I had coworkers that were legitimately. They looked like they had fucking shell shock. They were looking at
Really?
me like, they were like, what do I do?" They were like it, and of course, they were younger, and then, some of us that were older were just, I mean, yeah, we were laughing our asses off. I'm like, and we're just like, look, dude, this is not healthy.
Yeah.
This should show you, you know, this,
Yeah,
this should,
well, unfortunately, it wasn't even 24 hours, you know that, right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
because it happened, like late at night,
it did,
or
yep.
yeah, it was like late at night, and because obviously I work at night, and so, and then what was interesting, I don't know how all this played out, but when the ban went through, the message on there said Trump, and this was before Trump had been
It
inaugurated.
was,
Trump is actively working, or we're actively working with the Trump administration. And then I think when it came back on, they even said, they basically gave credit to Trump. I don't know if he really did it or
they
not, but it
did,
was
yeah.
it was interesting
It is very interesting
messaging.
and strange too.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know anything about how that went down?
I
Like,
have no
how,
idea.
because Trump wasn't even in office. I mean, obviously he was
Mm-mm.
about to get inaugurated, so he's in the incoming president, but he's not really even there yet.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember when that happened. I think it was December. I think it
No, I think it was mid January. It was right before the
was it? I
inauguration.
thought it was right after Christmas. I feel like it was still December.
Really?
But
It
I
may have
don't know.
been.
I can't remember. I don't remember.
But yeah, but I mean, like, so people, so I miss the social media thing completely, but I honestly, I'm glad, but I'm trying my best to really embrace AI, because I'm like, I don't, yeah, yes, it fucks with certain ideas that I've had about what I might want to do, or whatever. They might look different, but on the same token, I'm like, well, I mean, man, like, I've had a lot of things I've wanted to write, and I've never finished them. And so if AI allows me to finish them,
Mhm.
I guess I'm not going to get full credit, because I'm not going to fucking lie about it. I mean, if I write a book or a screenplay and it turns out great, I'll be like, no, these were all my ideas, but literally use my commute back and forth to work brainstorming about this. And because it's amazing. I think I've told you about this. I mean, chat literally remembers all this stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I can ask for summaries, I can ask for like, hey, detailed outlines. And it's all my ideas because I always have these stupid ideas bouncing around in my mind.
Mhm.
But it's like I can sort of like free form, just get them off my chest and talk about it, and knowing that they're going to be. It's essentially like writing them down without having to write them down.
Yeah, see, I don't
Um,
really feel like that's even something you would need to credit AI for because it's I don't know, it's bouncing ideas and stuff off of AI, I think is okay. It's like if I, because I honestly I've never even thought about that till you just said it. But, um, if I was just struggling for an idea for a scene or something, I don't feel like that would be cheating at all. Um, just something that helps you kinda get the ball rolling or something that's used, as a tool. I mean, 'cause what's the difference between that, in a sense, what you're doing and just, recording yourself having a conversation or something, so you don't have to write it down. You know what I mean? A lot of that's just a tool, to kinda help you out. I don't think it necessarily giving you ideas is the case. It's not like you're giving it ideas and then saying, "Hey, write a chapter on, this, this, and this," and then you're running with it, you know what I mean? Like, that's very different in my mind. Uh-oh, I can't hear you. What you did, I saw you over there playing with it. Come on, Billy, grip it right. Oh, I hear something.
yeah, there must be a mute button. No, I was trying to I was trying to be all slick and I muted it on Riverside and I was trying to get it like set up better and I guess there's a mute button on the fucking microphone.
Yeah, there should be.
God, we're such boomers. Half the fucking episode I'm out of focus and then like and then like you're looking for like something on your phone and so it's like a roller coaster around your studio.
Yeah, it really is, dude. It's fucking
Dude, we
crazy.
suck.
I
We
know.
suck at this.
We're not
What
boomers. What are
April calls us
what
boomers.
are we, Gen Xers? We're Gen Xers,
Yeah, we're
right?
X.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
Xers.
but no, she fully makes fun of us for being boomers.
Yeah, she's a Gen
Um,
Xer too. What's she talking about? That makes her a boomer if
that
she
is
calls us
true.
a boomer.
No, but I mean, but here's the thing though. I agree with what you're saying, but chat does give me ideas. I was bouncing the ideas. Okay, I'll just tell it to you because it's funny. I think we've talked about it. So the idea is for um my character is I'm probably like lonely and maybe things aren't going so great and he's sitting in his living room and he finds your YouTube channel
Mhm.
and he brings it up on his flat screen in his living room and he's eating and then he's watching your YouTube channel which is about your photography and your the miniature setup and all that but then you start having snippets of your dialogue where you actually start talking directly to him
Mm.
and so like and so that's sort of there's more to it but that's sort of the basic idea so it's like is my character going crazy are you really doing it and I was brainstorming this actually last night on the way to work and um the thing is chat was giving me ideas like it was literally like a brainstorming session because I was saying this stuff and he was like, "Yeah, that's killer." And what if this happened? And I was like, "Oh shit, that's killer too." And then so we would go back and forth and I had to look at the transcript. But I mean, some of his ideas weren't very good, but then he actually had several ideas that were great. And then they sparked ideas in my mind. So like I mean, I would feel obligated like let's say we made it and it got a shitload of views or attention or something. I would be like, well, look, I mean, this was my idea, but I spent my time back and forth driving to work brainstorming this, and some of this shit was AI gen. I mean, I would still sit down to write it,
Mhm.
because some of the dialogue it suggested sounded clunky, and but I mean, I forget what I would have to look at the transcript, but some of the things it said, I was like, ooh, shit, that's funny. Um, so I don't know that's now it's early 2025, maybe a year from now. I don't know, maybe a year from now, I give it just the very beginnings of that idea, and it writes everything.
Mhm. It's true.
Uh, but then but then let's say that's the case, and let's say it's fucking excellent because it knows me. Maybe I spend the next year brainstorming different ideas with it, and it really gets inside my head, and it knows me, and then it does write the whole thing for me. Well, then we go out and shoot it, and it's like, "Hey, cool, we just saved 6 months of,
Mm.
torment
Yeah.
trying to get this thing perfect, and now we just go out and make it and have fun."
Yeah, exactly, and you didn't go into some generated engine and say, "Create this, film for me.
Yeah,
Here's
although
the
that's coming
script," and
too.
that's what I'm saying, it is coming to, that's the sad thing. I just hope people don't embrace that shit to its fullest, and you know what I mean? Because, like, if people aren't being successful, if somebody's say somebody can put out a successful short film and it takes them, a year from conception to doing it, and it's wildly successful, and somebody can do the same thing in a day with AI, and it gets no traction, but they can do that, say they do 100 of those in a year, and none of those got any traction. Well, eventually, you know, I think people are gonna stop doing it if it's not serving a purpose for them, if that makes any sense, and that's my
Yeah.
hope, is that it doesn't. I hope that it doesn't, and so, like I said, it assisting people is one thing, but when it's completely creating stuff, I don't know, man. I just hope people don't embrace that.
I see what you mean. I'm struggling. AI is such a game changer. I'm struggling to find like a direct analogy, but I could be wrong about this, but fundamentally, I feel like there's not going to be a real change. There's not going to be a real increase of people that wouldn't normally like the way that used to be. A certain percentage of people stuck it out and became successful at whatever, photography, filmmaking, you name it, right?
Mhm,
And it's easier now, but it's still not. And I feel like it's going to be roughly the same percentage of people that actually stick it out and become successful. It's just going to be easier, and maybe they produce more content per creator or whatever than it used to be. But I just don't. But okay, because my podcast is a great example. Like, it's easier now than ever to do this, right? And I even have an advantage because the stuff that we did, and in this in the content that I create for April for her business, like, this is not all new to me.
mm,
Although podcast audio is, it's a little bit new, but I mean, I've got the basics. Um, and I've been posting weekly since Halloween, and it's a complete mind fuck. Like it's easy, the technology's there. I mean, what the program we're on now is super easy to use. It's not very expensive. The microphones aren't expensive. Like it's more accessible than ever, but like just doing it consistently over time is a
mhm,
complete mind fuck.
mhm.
Because it's like I'm not seeing results. There's no results at this point. It's just me doing it because it's fun, and for the hope that eventually there could be results, but that's not guaranteed. And so there's AI, there's Amazon where I can just order something and it's there the next day. But yet I wonder if there's more people actually doing it because it's still fucking hard. There's still this weird mindset thing that you have to just be so stubborn, and you've got to believe in something that makes no sense.
Yeah,
This makes no sense whatsoever, except if I keep doing it 5 years from now, it might make sense.
right.
And I think that even with that technology advantage, probably the same number of people are gonna actually stick with it. I don't know, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it depends on how see, my fear is it gets too easy to the point where somebody says, "I wanna do a podcast." Um, they can sit down and feed a fucking AI, some information, and they say, "Hey, I want you to generate, you know, a podcast for me," and it can literally in say a minute or two generate a hour-long conversation that sounds like it's between two real people that it's not, with whatever subject matter you want, and it sounds excellent, and they can do that over and over and over, and they can post every day, and it literally takes them 10, 15 minutes of their day, and they can actually make, money off of that. Like, what's to stop everything from going that direction?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Because my thing is
that
it's just, in its infancy. So if it gets embraced, it's just it's gonna get to the point where, like I said, it's gonna strip everything away from everybody. And it's
uh,
strictly in the creative aspect. That's kind of my fear.
no, I mean, that makes sense. And I mean, at that point, I mean, that's I guess that's kind of that's the big fear, and I guess that's why they're, like, trying to mark things as made by AI. I mean, even Kindle, like, the Amazon self-publishing thing, you have to put on there there's, like, check marks now that you put on there like, "Hey, I used AI to create this," and I think you even have to sort of detail how you used it.
Mhm.
Um,
See, I think that's
I don't
great.
know. I mean,
Because especially for like right now, like I said, man, stuff that's visual, it's still I guess some people are dumb enough to look at it and not realize it, but if you're used to seeing it, it's still you can still tell that it's AI. But I could see where written words could easily fool most people. So implemented in that
yeah.
sense, I could see where people are writing books completely with nothing but AI and put very little time and effort into those books. And I'm glad that they're at least making them do that for now.
Yeah. Well, that was sort of one of the get rich quick schemes of a few years ago when I don't know if it was Chat or which one it was, but that was sort of like a, hey, you can have AI write a self help book, all for you, and then go through and post it, and it's like everything else. I mean, if there's not a lot out there, then there'll be a few people that do that and make a little bit of money, and then that sort of goes away because I think now it's painfully obvious. Um, I don't know, but like you say, it's in its infancy. I mean, you know, even a year from now, it's going to look so much different. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, what happens
I,
when AI 100% when somebody goes in and prompts, AI with a couple sentences to write a book and gives it literally a couple sentences worth of information, and it creates a best-selling fucking novel that, like, sells better than any novel ever has in all time. Like, then
I
then where the fuck are we at? Because then at that point, the people that are, writing real stuff and are talented are gonna at what point is that gonna deter them and be like, "What's the point? What's the point?"
yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, because it makes you feel hopeless.
It does, man, and
Um,
and one thing once you take the human element out of I think that's why art is so important. Like, if it's able if you're able to remove the human element, then it's not really art anymore.
yeah. Well, I mean, and I guess I don't know. I mean, do people really care? Like the podcast example is a good one because I'm sure you could probably make a podcast right now just with AI. You could prompt it to, hey, write an hour long script using two fictional characters, and then you could feed that same script into other AI that would do voices.
Mhm.
And it's like, but would anyone care about that?
The fact that it's AI,
Like
you
like
mean,
a
or
bit.
care about what?
Well, I mean, would anyone really listen to that? I mean, because it's like, hey, do I want to listen to a podcast where two real people are talking about everything in life, and like our conversation so far, in versus a similar AI generated conversation? Would anyone really care to listen to that? Would it really impact them, or really could they connect at all with that?
Well, I guess the question is, A, is it entertaining still? Because to an extent, that's all people want is to be entertained, and B, can people do it without actually telling anybody that's AI? Because if you didn't know and you found it interesting, would it even matter? Like, then what I'm saying? Like, "Oh, that was an interesting podcast," and they didn't tell you it was AI and you had no idea, like, you might subscribe and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm not really on Instagram and stuff, but I know on YouTube I was seeing videos in my feed because I watch AI stuff all the time, and there was like these videos about creating. creating AI influencers for Instagram.
Mhm.
Is that a thing, or are there really like because it was basically like creating these hot chicks
Yeah, it's a
that were
real thing.
totally fake,
Yeah.
but you couldn't. So that really does happen.
Yeah, it's a real they're yeah, it's crazy, man. There are pages and, I mean, I don't know offhand, but they got big follow hundreds of thousands of followings, and they're completely
Really,
AI generated women,
and
100%.
everyone knows this.
Yeah, because they usually state it at the top. It'll be like, "Hey, this is, I'm so and so, you're" I don't know how they word it, "Your so and so created, AI girlfriend," or just, some bullshit like that. So they're no, they're completely open about it, and people clearly follow that shit. I don't know, man.
Uh,
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
yeah.
Like I said,
Well,
that's just the beginning. Like, where does it go from there?
it kind of gets back to your point from earlier, talking about having an AI enabled robot that
Yeah.
would just basically be an echo chamber for everything you believe and everything you think. It's like, you know, and like if you think, I mean, like pornography already is such a problem, and it like fucks with our society,
Mhm.
and obviously it's mainly dudes. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
chicks, some are into that, but I mean, like, mainly dudes, and it just like destroys your ability. Like like if you're addicted to that, you don't have a normal sex life. You're not gonna enjoy what real sex really is, and even like, scientifically they've proven like, hey, this it fucks with your dopamine, and it fucks with a lot of things. It's not good for you at all. And like you say, I mean, at the point at which, you could have, I mean, like already with chat, with me talking back and forth, I feel like I know the guy.
Yeah.
And so when are you going to have like an interactive, like, porno chat GPT
Yeah.
that, let's say you're 19 years old and you should be out, in college, going to parties and meeting, drinking and meeting girls and learning life, but you're stuck like a fucking zombie staring at your screen because you have the most perfect, beautiful, naked chick AI that's constantly just telling you how great you are. And like, that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's
especially when you think about, like, when this VR stuff gets really good, because that stuff gets
yes.
better and better once that kinda gets to where it's really good, like you said, man, and it's got AI implemented. You think porn is addictive, that shit's gonna be way worse.
That's terrifying because
And it's
because
gonna happen, I guarantee it's gonna happen. There's no way it won't. There's no way, there's 0 chance it won't happen. Because what is it? Some astronomical thing, like literally, I think it's over 50% of the entire internet consists of pornography. Think about how
are you
big the internet. Yeah,
serious?
dude, it's something crazy like that. So think about that for a second. There's no way that virtual and AI and pornography won't be a real thing soon.
Uh, well, and um that's like a famous technology, fuck, I don't know what you call it, but like basically porn is famous for always embracing new technology first.
Mhm,
Whether it
that's
was like
true.
VHS tapes and then Blu-ray or DVD, the internet streaming, like porn, because like you say, it's so lucrative and there's so much of it. I don't know why I don't know why they're so cutting edge, but but I mean,
Like, they
they're
got a lot of
always on
money.
the yeah, they're always on the bleeding edge of technology, and so you're right. I mean, VR, AI, all that stuff. I mean, God, that could be a huge problem.
Well, and you think about the industry, right? It used to be, um, where these companies basically would produce videos and pay, these porn stars or whatever, and now, like, with the power of the internet, women are taking that power into their own hands instead of, being paid whatever the fuck they got paid for a video, which I'm sure was nothing special. Now you've got these women out there who have their own accounts, their own, OnlyFans and that kind of stuff, and they're making literally millions of dollars, doing it on their own. Um,
Yeah, that's a good point.
and so, yeah, that's just a kind of an example of how the industry's evolved. But I mean, you think about with the VR thing and AI, it'll get to the point where it's going to put those women are a dying breed too, because it's going to put them out of business because people are going to be able to create these. create their own virtual women to look however they want. You create one, you save it, you create another one. You got so instead of you know your favorite porn stars, now you got your own favorite made ones that you've already created, and you can do whatever the fuck you want with them. And it's just, I mean, dude, there's no doubt that's where it's going to go there, 100%.
We're fucking doomed because we already have a birth rate problem. I
I
mean, a
know,
lot of
dude.
the I think America is just hanging on, but the other countries like Germany, France, Italy, so a lot of the European like
China is
Uber,
actually that way.
yeah. Well, and fuck, it's so sad to even think about, but I mean, a huge reason their rate problem is bad is because they killed all those baby girls. Like, was that in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
or was that later?
I think
I
that
mean,
was worse.
Jesus, that's I so some things are just too dark to even talk about. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it was just like genocide. I don't know what you call that. I mean,
Yeah.
and then now they have like way too many dudes. Like, who the fuck? Like, how does that even happen? But it happened.
Well, I tell you what, though,
Um,
I don't think I guarantee the human race isn't doomed for that reason because they'll just eventually start fucking growing people in fucking test tubes. They won't even
I-
need. They won't. I'm serious, man. They won't. They will no longer need male and female to reproduce.
we're gonna be smoothies down there.
No, I'm
we'll be
serious,
like
man. They're gonna.
we'll be like He Man.
Well, I mean, not only that, but dude, it's gonna be just, dude. We talked about this before. How movies tend to predict the future. Not only are they gonna be growing people in test tubes, they're gonna be able to genetically alter those, so those people won't be born with birth defects, and they'll be born with certain higher intelligence levels, and they'll be able to have people you know predetermined to do certain things in society. They'll be better. I mean, some people are more inclined to work with their hands and to be builders and that kind of shit. It'll be the same thing, man. People will be fucking genetically engineered to do certain things, and that's just it's a matter of time, and people will be able to have children that way. They'll be able to have their own children as well, and they'll be able to genetically alter them as well before they're born, and or maybe they'll have to do it in a test tube and then do in vitro or something to put it back inside the female. But it's all fucking gonna happen, man, and it all circles back around to technological advances in medicine because of things like AI.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, okay, here's my hope. Well, first of all, for some reason, I thought you were going to say they're going to grow people in buckets. I don't know why I thought buckets, but you said
Buckets.
test tubes. I guess buckets just sounded funnier. But my hope is that that the dude from I think he's in charge of Google's AI program. He's real famous,
Mhm.
but we've talked about this. He swears that we're going to become immortal.
Yeah, the old guy. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the old guy. He's hanging on. He's taking his vitamins,
He wants
but
to make it to that point so he can
yeah.
not
Well, and
die.
I think it's 20 is it 2029 where he says we're going to break even or say it was pretty
Yeah,
close.
he said by 2029 we'll have that technology where we'll be able to stop
Yeah.
the aging process.
Yeah, but that's only going to freeze it. So
Yeah.
like basically every year you live, you get back about 8 months. I think is how it goes. And so obviously, you eventually die, but then he thinks by about 2029 or 2030, you'll get back about 12 months for every 12 months you live. So basically, you just sort of don't age anymore. And then it's later on down the road that they'll eventually start to be able to reverse it.
Yep.
Um, I okay, I've got the weirdest feeling. I really feel like that's going to happen. That sounds crazy, and it probably won't. But deep down inside, I feel like, yeah, that's gonna happen.
I think it will, and maybe it's later, much later than that, than they anticipate. But 100%, dude, it'll happen, and maybe not even in our lifetime, but um, it's inevitable, man. There's no way it won't happen.
Well, the reason I think it's gonna happen is because I, I kind of think that this does not make me not believe in God, but I think the ancient aliens theory is actually right,
Hmm.
and I think that they sort of sabotaged our DNA on purpose because it's information. Like if Dave Sinclair, he's like a Harvard scientist guy. He's works on longevity, and they that's why they he considers aging a disease now, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of those guys do.
Mhm.
And the reason they do is because they're like, it's an information problem. Information stops getting recycled properly after a certain point, and it's has to do with our DNA. And he doesn't say this next part, but I'm like, that makes sense. Whoever created us knew it would take a certain amount of time to get technologically advanced enough to realize that and to fix it. And that was sort of like the learning curve.
Yeah.
You know, if you made us immortal to begin with, maybe we wouldn't have handled that well. But if we have to go through and learn and evolve and live for thousands of years and get to that point, maybe we'll. It's like earning it essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it makes you wonder, but and then there's part man, it's like I you think that, right? Because the whole ancient alien things, and then you wonder, well, surely if, there are beings there that highly intelligent, that far advanced than we are, then they would probably live forever as well. But then I've heard stories I heard on a podcast recently. Um, Trying to think, was it David Grush? I think that said it. I can't remember, man. He was on a fucking Rogan podcast. It wasn't even like some little bullshit thing. He's one of these big um, former. He was former, I think, Air Force, and then he went into like the intelligence, and he was basically is part assigned to the UAP task force or whatever. But he claims to have had an actual encounter with one of these beings, um, like a face to face conversation, but it wasn't even a verbal conversation. Um, but anyways, he talks about all kinds of shit, and he was saying something about the different races that are supposedly out there that we know of. Because I think he was saying he was briefed on 4 different races, and there's at least one more he knows of that he was never briefed on. But then what's back to the conversation we were having is he was saying one of those things is the typical alien that people claim to see that they call the grays with the big eyes,
Yeah.
the smooth skin. Um, this was crazy. He was saying, and again, you've heard stuff about how some of these craft that supposedly we've seen, like even Bob Lazar talked about the craft. He was saying it was smaller, like it was for these smaller some kind of being that whatever was in it was smaller than humans. Anyways, this guy was talking about how this race um, they are actually smaller beings, but as they get into their elderly years, they actually start to grow quite a bit. Um, but he was saying like their normal lifespan is like 800 years or something like that, and that just kind of made me think of that when we were talking about this. I'm like, man, if that's true, and these guys are this technologically advanced, and they still have a lifespan, even if it is 800 years, that's still a lifespan. Maybe we can't live forever.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we're wrong.
Or
Maybe we're just
or
theorizing, and maybe we're wrong. Maybe we'll be able to drastically increase our longevity, but maybe we won't be able to live forever.
or maybe they're assholes, and we'll have we'll have better technology.
You never know. You
I
never
I
know.
I I kind of always thought that the Greys were like robots,
Yeah, I don't know,
like
man.
because that kind of makes sense. It's the advanced equivalent of us sending out rovers and stuff,
Yeah,
but like way more advanced civilizations just send out AI,
yeah,
like basically robots, and on little craft and stuff, and that way they just sort of just wander the galaxy. There's no concern really about them.
makes sense.
Um,
But I don't know, man. It's crazy because you listen to Sean Ryan.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean that's what's kind of really making my ears perk up is Rogan occasionally will dabble in that conversation with people, but now that Rogan's starting to have UFO people on, and Sean Ryan is starting to have UFO people on. I don't know, man. It's starting to make me wonder. I mean, like, not that I didn't ever not believe these things, but now I'm starting to think some of these things I listen to are maybe a lot more real than we realize. And I'm hearing consistent things talking about like, um, different races, which would explain, these craft. You hear about different craft and them being different shapes and sizes, and um, consistencies in materials and stuff, that kinda would make sense if there's different races of beings out there.
No, I mean, I look, I agree, because they're getting. I mean, you and I are the same on this. We've always loved this topic. I'm sure since we were kids. I know I've loved it since I was a kid. But you're getting way more credible people. No,
Yes.
that sounds like a dick thing to say. I'm not trying to discredit people earlier on, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying you're getting, now because they're changing the rules. People, used to, God knows what would, if you really had knowledge of this stuff firsthand 10 years ago and you came out and said it, they would probably fucking disappear you,
Yeah, they probably
you
would.
know. And so things are changing now, and maybe the government's like, well, we're losing this secret no matter what, and so they're loosening their grip on it, and so you're getting way more credible people, very serious people. Because I don't know if it was Sean Ryan or Rogan, um, but they were, and I don't remember the guy's name, but he kept talking about the non-human intelligence. So it was like NHI or some shit. He kept
Mhm.
calling it NHI that he met and that he was in contact with. And this was a legit dude. I mean, he had legit credentials. He was ex-military. I think he was intel. And I'm like, and he's just casually like, "Hey, listen, I can't say this, but I can say this," and because he was still constrained by his the NDIs and stuff that he had signed, and he was just very as a matter of fact, like, "Yeah, yeah, for sure."
Mhm.
Um, and that's when it sort of started hitting me. I was like, "Oh shit, this okay, okay." This is serious. And if we're hearing about this, the we we must be coming up on something. There's a
Yeah.
reason, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a reason it's coming out, and I have no idea what it is. Maybe it's just reached a breaking point and they just really can't contain it.
Yeah.
Um,
God, there was one at now that I think about it, was on Sean Ryan. He was an old guy, and, he had a very, I remember, credible experience because there were, like, several people that were with him that witnessed it, and, um, it was similar to remember the story about they made the movie Fire in the Sky?
uh-huh.
It was a similar thing to that where he, had some sort of an encounter like that, except he's, gosh, man, I forget now. He was talking about all this information that he had received from this one individual being. He said that actually he still, communicates with on a regular basis, um, because he apparently he has these communications with this thing, and his family at first used to think he was crazy. He'd be sitting in a room having this conversation, but then he started like giving information that that he couldn't possibly have known, that was supposedly being given to him, about, like, our star systems and shit like that. Um, and like he's drawn like detailed diagrams of shit that he says he knows and has been given, um, as far as like for technology and shit like that. Um, and then I forgot where I was going with this story. Anyways, but anyways, yeah, that was on a Sean Ryan one recently, man. You need to listen to that because it was really fucking crazy podcast.
I think I heard that because um, yeah, I think I did. 'Cause I heard one with a guy, and like I say, he has actual credentials, and he was talking about he was on a base, I think in Arizona or something, like in the 80s, and they ran into a fucking alien.
Yeah, that's probably the one you're talking about on Rogan that I was talking about. Um, where
Yeah, it
where
might have
the
been
alien was
Rogan.
looking for a fucking, Triticon or something like that. Yeah,
Yes,
dude, that was crazy.
yes.
No, but that's what I was gonna get at. So the other story, this is what I was gonna say, this is what's interesting. We'll see if there's any, anything true about what this guy was saying. He was saying, because a lot of this had, like, to do with, because he was saying, because Sean was asking him, like, does any of this, because he's a man of faith, he was asking if any of this changed his faith in God, and the guy was saying it's actually strengthened his faith in God. But one of the things he was saying that, um, something major was going to happen, and it had to hold something to do with good and evil and shit like that. But he said on, Easter of next year, So he wasn't saying it was. I forget how he described more details on it, but he doesn't know exactly what it is that he's being told or whatever. Um, but it has to do with good, and it's not like some apocalyptic thing or anything like that. But that'll be interesting to see, man, because he said very
Hey,
specifically Easter of 2026 was what he
g-
was told by this being.
hey, give me 2 seconds.
All right, did you go outside?
Dude, I didn't realize how bad I had to go, and I literally almost wet my pants.
E break
that was that was close. Okay, so Easter of next year, but it wasn't a
2026.
bad thing?
No, I forget, man. I would honestly have to go back and listen to it now because I can't remember what all he was saying, but he was talking about like all the good and the evil that's going on in the world right now, and it had something to do with that. I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens leading up to that. Maybe there's going to be a major war going on or something. Who the fuck knows, man? Um,
I kind of feel like I kind of feel like with the alien stuff that these days we say alien, and we're probably right. But I think a couple of thousand years ago, people said angels and demons,
yeah, I think so
and
too.
you know what I'm saying. And I think it's probably the same thing.
Like it's the exact same thing.
And like what you were saying, if there's different races, then some of them are going to be assholes, and some of them are going to be pretty cool, and that's
Well,
probably why there's angels and demons.
and it's interesting because I can't remember if it was the other one that was on Rogan that had touched on that. He said something about the 5 different races. He said, and he hadn't been briefed on one of them, but he kind of got the impression from what some other people had said that one of those races was not, even though it was one of the highly advanced races, it was not a super, I guess, friendly race or something like that. So I don't know if there's any
Mm.
truth to that or not, but I mean, I don't know, man. Who the fuck knows?
Well,
Like,
and it makes you wonder, like, what what is the structure? Okay,
yeah.
if we're just learning about this stuff, maybe our government's known for a while, but apparently we're probably behind the 8 ball. And so if you have these 4 or 5 other races out there that are well aware of us, then like what is the structure? Like, I guess the power structure. Why are they not totally fucking with us? Like, let's say there's 5 and 2 or 3 are pretty good and 2 or 3 are pretty bad. Are the good ones keeping the bad ones from messing with planets like ours? Is there some rule? You know what I'm saying?
So
Is
somebody
there
somebody touched on that in one of those podcasts, and I can't remember which one it was, and he had said something about that basically these races were so far kind of live in this what we would kind of look at as this dystopian future, except that we're just we're too consumed by greed and power and that kind of thing to really be able to I guess establish something that right now, but they're so much further advanced than that it's there's not boundaries and borders, and they all kind of live amongst the same rules, I guess, or laws or whatever. And they have no reason to, I guess, be bad and to do bad things per se. They're not, I guess they're way past or way more. I don't know if it's way just more evolved than we are in that sense. I mean, because I have no doubt, like if humankind continued to evolve eventually, undisturbed, eventually I think we would get past wars and all the materialistic things that we do now, and money and greed and power and all that kind of bullshit. So
I hope that's the case.
yeah, that's what somebody had mentioned in that podcast, but I can't remember which one. I think that was the Rogan podcast with the more credible guy that said something like that.
Do you think there's evil in the world?
Oh,
Like, are like
hell yeah. But
but
is it
like
is it an actual force like in a biblical sense, like demons? And I don't know about that, but I think evil exists in people. I don't know if that's like an external thing that consumes them. I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know what it is like exactly, but I think absolutely evil is something that
Because, like, well, I mean, in our experiences have dealt with, I guess, what you would call evil people, but then if you spend enough time with people like that, you kind of realize, okay, you had the like you're like you are because you were done this way mostly. I mean, I guess there's some people that are just wired wrong,
Yeah.
but like most people are just repeating what the fuck happened to them. In it, while they were kids, and while they were a kid, and then they kind of go crazy with it. Maybe they go further than what was done to them, but depending on the environment they grow up in, they eventually make some really fucked up decisions. But does that make them evil? Or are they being influenced by like evil spirits? I mean, it sounds kind of funny to say it that way, but that's what, most religious people essentially believe, that evil spirits can influence you to do bad things. But can that be true?
I don't know, man. That's the problem is there's so much unknown.
I don't know, because you're like, because you think, well, there's definitely evil people. Like think of people overseas, or like, like terrorists or something. But it's like, well, but if you knew them, you'd be like, no, no, no. I mean, you spend a few days with any of those guys, and you get to know them. It's like they do some fucked up things, but is that evil,
Yeah.
or is it just,
There's
I don't know.
circumstances that brought them to that point.
Yeah, I mean, and like I say, it would never justify anything that they do, and it's
But
still
but
wrong. And
but yes, I do think so because I think at any point in time, as long as a person who I think most people are plenty capable of self-reflection, I think at any point in time you can. Because I mean, it's easy to get caught up in emotions or in the heat of a moment and do something stupid, right? But everybody has that time where they can self-reflect, and you can certainly say, "Fuck, man, that was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. That was bad. I really shouldn't have done that." And course correct and not do that again. And there are people that don't care. I don't know if that's just a lack of empathy or what that is, but that's definitely something.
uh
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like, in my mind, like, that's what keeps most people from doing truly bad things is most people whether it's a fear of repercussion or a lot of people can just look and say, like, "No, that's the wrong thing to do." People, you know what I mean? Most people inherently know the difference between wrong and right, or whether a decision is or something they do is bad or good. But I think
Hmm.
there are those that, I don't know, man, like, when you can not care or look past that, like, what is it that's driving that? I think that's where the, kinda term evil comes from.
Yeah, yeah, I guess you're right.
But like we said, is it just something that comes from within, or is it possibly something else?
Oh no, I mean, because like in my mind, I mean, this just comes from a lot of introspection, from spending years dealing with people that have done evil things, and you get to know them, and you can like understand their circumstances. It doesn't change the consequences. I mean, there have to be consequences, and whatever, what depending on what they've done or what they do. But I mean, when you really start to understand them, it's like, is that evil? Or maybe like you say, maybe at a certain point when they decide that they don't give a fuck, and they're just going to do what they're going to do, and then maybe evil is a choice, that you come to after a certain point, and you just stop caring, and you're just like, hey, I'm there now. I don't know.
I don't know, man, that's a tough question.
Yeah, I'm not doing a good job describing what I'm thinking, but they're just, I don't know. Everyone has their own story, and I guess maybe understanding how they got there doesn't really change the fact that they're there.
Yeah. Well, but then the question is, are there actual beings out there that literally are pure evil, truly evil? Like, they are incapable of doing anything good because it is just what they are, and maybe that's some sort of entities that, aren't us. And maybe they're spiritual, maybe they're not, maybe they're just something else.
Yeah, that's the real question, because I mean, if you believe the Bible, it definitely says that there's, good spirits and bad spirits. And not only are there good and bad spirits, but they are actively trying to influence us. And so if you think, well, maybe those good and bad spirits are really good and bad aliens, and we,
Mhm.
we call them aliens, they called them spirits a couple thousand years ago. But then you got to figure, like, well, then, okay, fine. If they're, for some reason, if they're aliens, I have a harder time, like, coming up with a reason why they would give a shit about us.
Yeah, exactly, and why wouldn't the powering good do something about that? Why would they allow that to happen? It doesn't make sense.
Yes. Yes.
And then it makes you wonder too, like, because you mentioned something about what is the pecking order? I mean, is it one of those things where, like, what was the first of those races that were, you know, to reach the higher, uh, technological advancement? And did the others get there on their own, or did the others get there from influence from the other? Like, did you have one race that was observing the other, and once they got to a certain point, you know what I mean, they started introducing their technology to help them advance? And is that kind of what's happening with us? Are we in that phase now? Where eventually maybe that's why things are starting to come out, because maybe we're only a short time away from being part of that whole um, world, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and maybe honestly, it's AI. Maybe the fact that we have gotten to the point in which that we've created AI, and then now it's like an echo chamber in a good way of us collaborating with AI, and it's going to accelerate, you know our
Mhm.
technology fast enough, like you say, that the other races that maybe they hit this point 1,000 years ago or 100 years ago or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, they figured out nukes, 50, 60 years ago, and now they got AI. It's time to bring them into the fold, you know
'Cause who knows? Maybe maybe AI could also turn out to be a bad thing, and so maybe it's one of those things where they've already experienced that with themselves, or another race, and so maybe that's there's a maybe they need to intervene to keep that from happening, because that was my question. Like, if they if they're that technologically advanced, they've got to have some sort of AI themselves. It obviously didn't, you know, doom them, but then maybe they know there's a certain way you got to proceed to handle things, or a
they're
certain
like,
point
come
you've
on, assholes,
yeah,
haven't you seen Terminator?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe there's a point, like, where they, have to kind of, I don't want to say intervene, but just kind of introduce them, themselves into the fold, like you said, to kind of steer things in a certain direction so that it doesn't. Because who knows?
No.
Who's to say, as technologically advanced as they are, that a race like us, like that our AI, they couldn't be aware that our AI could potentially get to a point where it's a danger to them, even as technologically advanced as they are. Because maybe they're just way more familiar with the super advanced AI. I mean, who the fuck knows?
Yeah, well, no, that makes sense actually, because maybe AI is almost like a virus.
Yeah,
And
maybe
it's like shit. You got to hang on to that because it
exactly.
it can get so smart and spread so fast. It can be a like an existential threat, not just to the world but to the galaxy or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Maybe they've already had their fucking Terminator War, and come out okay on the other side, and You know, I mean, who the fuck? Like, that's what I'm saying, man. Who knows? God, there's so much information out there. That's kind of a scary thing too to think of, is if we did become integrated with other beings. You know, you think about the knowledge they have that we don't, and how many things that they could inform us on. That we don't know about. I mean, like, potentially one of the scariest ones is like God. They may know that, hey, maybe they may know God's real, or that God's not real. You know what I mean? Like, they may have definitive proof of that, one way or the other, and that could be.
So-
So I'm just saying, what if they came to us and said, hey, look, we're sorry, there is no God. Here's the proof you need. Um, when you're dead, you're just dead, or when you're dead, this is what actually happens, or you know what I mean, like.
so basically, like breaking the Santa Claus
Yes,
story
dude, that's exactly right.
down to your
That
kids.
is exactly what I think will happen
They're like,
with a
should
lot of
we
things.
should we tell them? Should we just rip off the Band-Aid now?
Just tell them everything. I mean, who the fuck knows, man? It could be mind blowing, the information that they give us. I mean, like,
Well, and the other thing is, like, you you have to know what you don't know, and so let's just pretend like, it becomes an open secret tomorrow that, hey, there's 4 or 5 races of aliens, and and then now there's aliens on Oprah, and giving interviews and stuff. It's like, well, okay, cool. Well, we know that they're way more advanced than we are, and so how do we know that we can trust anything they say? You know what I'm saying? Like, we there it's out of our league. They're we can't even, they might be communicating with us on our level, but they could be so much smarter than us that we can't even fathom
yeah.
their level of intelligence. So, like, should we even believe them?
Well,
That they could be playing, fucking 3D chess.
true, yeah. But that brings up another interesting point that I heard on one of these podcasts. Is they were talking about how, and I heard this on multiple podcasts. There is no spoken language amongst them. Like, they all basically communicate telepathically, including with us, those that they've communicated with. Um, which makes me think, like, if you think about it, if human beings, if we were literally capable of reading each other's thoughts, think about how much that would change things. I think for the better, right? Because you wouldn't be able to lie to people, you wouldn't be able to deceive people. Think about where we are in right now with politics and all the lying and misinformation and disinformation that exists out there wouldn't exist because you couldn't lie to people. If
Yeah, but
everybody could read everybody's thoughts, you know
yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
terrifying. I
It
mean, okay, there would be like a purge at first.
Oh, yeah, it would be well, that's something. It would be very could be potentially bad at first, but eventually that could lead to, I think, what would be a true dystopian future that we're incapable of having right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're yeah, the transition to no secrets, no, like, everyone knowing exactly what you think, that would be rough. That would be like changing gears without pushing in the clutch.
Yeah.
But if we could get past that, yeah, you're right. Maybe it would. I mean, could you imagine just like with your coworkers or your bosses or whatever, and you're just, it's like, oh, they can read my mind. Shit. And then they're hearing you say that.
I guess, yeah, it makes you wonder, like, would you be able to curtail your thoughts?
I don't
Like,
know.
can you? Because I've never really thought about that. It's kinda
You'd have to
hard not
be.
it would be hard not to think certain things that you know what I'm saying? Like, you walk by and let's say you're judgmental about somebody you walk by, or when you see somebody doing something, and you're like, "What a fucking idiot." Like, can you
Yes.
refrain from saying that in your head? I think you could probably, over time, you could probably, but that would be better. That would be in a good thing, right? Because think about it. In order to curtail negative thought like that, you'd have to kinda change your overall mindset and stop thinking negatively in general. And that would, I think,
Yeah.
actually be a
Well,
good thing. Because otherwise, like, you know, y even people you care about, if you thought something negative or thought something bad, not in regards to them, but something you would never say out loud to them, like, they would think, you know what I mean? They would think about you very differently. And
honey,
so,
these pants make me look fat, and you're just like,
"Oh god, oh
you're just
god."
like, do you start singing your ABCs or something? You're like, anything, anything you can think of to occupy your thoughts.
Uh, it would definitely but it would but see what I'm saying? It would definitely, like, you would definitely learn to retrain the way you think, and I think that would get rid of a lot of negativity in general over time. But like you said, it would be rough at first. There'd be like a I think you're right, it'd be a purge, there'd be a lot more violent actions.
Yes, it would. I mean, I don't know how long it would take, but I mean, shit would get real because if everyone knew everything, everything. I mean, because it doesn't matter how nice of a person you are, you have certain thoughts, certain snarky,
Mhm,
sarcastic, rude thoughts, especially depending on who you're interacting with.
mhm.
And if there was no guarding that,
Yeah,
oh,
but
I don't
but you
know.
think about that might be the way it is, especially when we go back to talking about these, other beings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for sure. Like, if we all, like, if everyone decided tomorrow, like, I mean, this would never happen, obviously, but if everyone decided, like, worldwide, hey, we're just going to be brutally honest about every single thing. We're not, doesn't matter what it is. We're just saying it. I mean, that's essentially what it would be like. And then maybe once everyone got over it, it would be like, hey, we at least all know where we stand.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're
I
all on
think
the
I
same
think I think
page.
people would become a lot honestly, man, I think it would toughen people up. They'd become a lot less sensitive. I mean, think about it. If somebody went around if everybody that you interacted with every day, nobody sugarcoated anything, everybody told you the truth, like that I think that would change you in a good way.
Even my mom,
Even your mom? No, it would change you in a good way, you know?
it probably would.
It really
It
would.
probably,
It would
yeah,
make people
honestly,
stronger because 'cause you'd have to be.
it
Part
would also cull the herd.
Yeah, it would definitely cull
It
the herd.
wouldn't make some people stronger.
Yeah, well, that might be part of the purge thing you were talking about.
There'd for sure be a purge. Like, think about, I mean, think about all the things that would come out, you know? Like, some people just think they're happily married.
Right, exactly. Oh god, yeah, you'd have a lot of divorces, no doubt.
So, yeah, it's like, yeah. It could be awful. Be like, "You're screwing who?" Like, "What?"
Wow, yeah, can you
You know?
imagine? God, it would be interesting, wouldn't it? Dude, that would make for a good movie, wouldn't it?
It really would.
God, that would be fun. Funny
"Honey, I'm going to hang
and
out with my girlfriends." "No, you're not. I can fucking hear your thoughts. I
no,
know where you're going."
no, you're not, asshole. Well, actually, there was an episode. Did you ever watch Black Mirror?
No, I really I need to, 'cause I've heard a lot of people say it's good.
It's terrifyingly, good, and, yeah, there was an episode where basically and this the again, especially now, this seems really fucking realistic, but everybody has these I think they're implants, like if you were getting, like if you were getting eye surgery and, they put new lenses in your eye, literally, everybody
Yeah.
basically has these lenses, and they're like, um I think they were attached to a device that was similar to your phone, but I don't think it was a phone. I can't remember what it was. But basically, they see and record everything you do, and it's all uploaded somewhere, whatever. And yeah, I can't remember like the episode was this husband and wife, and something happened, man, and like I guess she was cheating on him or something, and he like forced her to because that's the other thing, like that information is there, like you can visually project it onto like a TV screen or a device or something like that. Yeah, dude, and so, yeah, I was like, "Damn, that's kinda crazy when you think about it."
He's like, "Oh, you like that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay."
He basically, yeah, like, made her fucking project or she tried to delete it or something, and he, like, snatched her device or something and, forced her to pull it up, and it was like, a video recording of her, having sex with this other dude and stuff.
Her staring at the ceiling.
No, it was definitely, like, interesting, man, and like I said, it's the kinda thing you could they're all very bizarre Twilight Zone-y kinda scenarios, but it's all stuff you could totally see happening in the very near future.
Yeah, I used to watch that show as a kid, and that's I never knew what Black Mirror was, and then it might have been you that said it's like the Twilight Zone because they're all every episode sort of a different idea and stuff. I was
And
like,
it's all
oh
fucked
yeah,
up they're all fucked up ideas. Like the
yeah,
Twilight
which
Zone was all fucked up stuff.
yeah,
Bizarre, I guess you could say. It was all kind of I don't know how to describe the Twilight Zone. It wasn't some of it was horror-ish, but some of it was just like I don't know, man. I guess just bizarre is maybe the right word. And that's how
yeah,
Black Mirrors are. It has a very similar feel, kind of an eerie feel to all of it. None of it's a good, none of it has a good outcome or good, but it's all very thought provoking. And that's shit. I need to go back and watch it now because honestly, I haven't watched it in a long, long fucking time.
yeah. I might check it out. Me and April are always looking for things to watch. That's not a
It's worth watching, dude. And there's one that's really fucked up, man. It's just one episode. It's got and I'll warn you now. It's got Anthony Mackie. You know who that is? He's the actor.
oh
He plays he's the black guy. He played in a bunch of the Marvel movies. He's now like the new Captain America, whatever.
oh yeah.
He's in one of the episodes, and it's again, everything's kind of futuristic, and it's him and his buddy that like play these video games, and it's all like this like VR stuff, and it's super realistic, and they're going in and like um doing like one of these fighting games where they're fighting each other, except the one dude's got this, his character avatar is this one dude, and the other dude's got this character avatar that's just like hot female, and yeah, it kind of turns into this weird relationship, and it's more than just like a sexual thing. It's fucking it's kind of uncomfortable episode, but it's excellent. It's really really well written and thought out. And that's how kind of most of the episodes are that way. I would highly
Yeah, I gotta
recommend watching it, man. It's a super thought provoking show. I need
I
to go
gotta
back and
check
start
that
watching.
out.
I'm gonna go back and start watching them too because they haven't done a season in quite a long time. So it's been years since I've watched any of them.
Dude, we're hooked on Severance right now.
What's that?
Oh, dude, it's so good. It's on Apple TV, and they had season one. They did one season of it, and I think it kind of got canceled.
Hmm.
It has the guy. I think his name is Adam Scott. You would recognize him. He was on The Good Place. He played one of the demons on The Good Place. He was on Step
Recognize
Brothers. He's done a bunch of stuff.
Step Brothers the
I might,
movie.
yeah.
Was he the
Um,
asshole brother that was like well off and or was he somebody else?
no, I think so. I
Is
haven't
he
seen
is he
Step
white
Brothers in
guy
so
with like
long.
dark hair?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
You'd recognize him immediately. But he's on there, and that like I said, it's kind of a weird show. It was hard to get into, but it's so good. I think Ben Stiller actually produces it and like directs some of the episodes. But they're dropping season 2 now. It's on Apple TV,
Okay.
and it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's I mean the idea. This is no spoiler, but the idea is that people like in the future are able to um they like sever a part of their personality
Mhm.
so that when they go to work they don't they become like a different person, and so they basically clock in and go down this elevator, and then they all their outside person knows is that they went to work at like 9, and then immediately it's 5 o'clock and they're leaving.
Oh, that's fucking
It, it,
beautiful. We need that
yeah,
for
and
real.
yeah, right. And they have an inside personality that does all the work, and they don't know each other, and they call them innies and outies. And that's like the premise. There's no spoilers in that. And so it's it's really good. Like I said, they're dropping season 2 now. I think it got canceled because they shot season 1 around the time of COVID, around the
Mm.
lockdowns and stuff, and it didn't. I don't know if it. To me, I thought it was brilliant. Like season 1, once I got into it, I was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!"
Does it have more
And
of a serious
then
tone or is it like funny?
it's more serious
Okay.
and kind of like eerie, but
Okay.
it is funny also.
Yeah.
It's really well done, and it's typical because to me, I thought it was brilliant, and
And it got canceled.
um, it got canceled more or less after season 1, but then I guess people put up such a stink about it. They were like demanding that all the fans were like on board, and
Yeah.
I guess they got funding for season 2 and they're dropping it now.
Okay.
There's
Severance.
so many good shows that don't make it. There's I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Um,
You guys watch Shameless?
no,
Oh, it's so
um,
good, dude.
it's okay. You've told me about that a million times. It's too it's too well made. It's so fucking depressing. Like they nail like the sadness of their life too well.
Yeah, but it's funny, dude. It's funny. That's the thing.
I didn't even get past the first episode. I need to give it a try
It's funny.
because there's guys at work that say the same thing. They're like, you have to watch it.
It's really good. That's why there was a ass ton of like 10 fucking seasons, I think there was, or something crazy.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
That's like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like it took me. My kids started watching it, and I saw a few episodes. And at first, I was like, I saw like just a few minutes of one of the early episodes, and I was like, whatever. But then I saw another one, and I kind of got into it, and then I couldn't stop watching it.
That's got Danny DeVito's in that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
his character doesn't come in until the second season.
Okay.
But dude, that show is totally worth it.
Okay.
And they've got a bunch of seasons. It's that's 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 one of my all-time favorites. Like
I haven't
once you get to
watched
know
it.
the characters and stuff, yeah. There's a bunch of seasons of that too.
Okay. I need something to watch, so
Yeah, I would if you're looking for funny, um, I would do that one because it's really good.
okay.
The Yeah. See, season 1, basically it's just a bunch of guys that got together and wrote it and then shot it, I think. And so it's a little season 1 is a little slow, and it's a lot of their comedy is like arguing and yelling and stuff. And so I think that's why I had a little kind of a hard time getting into it, but it's really, I don't know, the characters are really strong. And then season 2 and really takes off.
So season 2 is where it gets good.
Yeah, I mean, season 1's good too, but it's well written. Like even the pilot, the first episode. I don't want to give it away, but like it starts off strong. It's our humor. You'll like it.
Okay. I need to check it out then.
Yeah,
So that's on Netflix or something like that?
that's a good question. I think it's on Hulu,
Okay, I've got Hulu.
but don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Alright, man. It's getting
Man, dude,
late.
this was amazing, dude. I guess it's about that time, but dude,
Yeah.
I had so much fun.
Yeah, man. We've been on here for feel like how is there a timer on this bitch?
Yeah, you won't even believe what time
I'm
we're
sure
at.
it was like, oh yeah, I see it, almost 3 hours. I was gonna say about 3 hours, so
Yeah, crazy.
I
Well,
know we
dude, thank you, man. This was fun.
yeah, man. We'll have to do it again for sure.
I'll send you your normal appearance fee,
There you go. Perfect. One of these days we gotta do it in person.
dude.
But
No, I want to. I'm getting my mobile set up together, and I'll come visit you in your studio.
well, it also would be fun to it'd be amazing if we could do this around a fucking campfire. Wouldn't
Yes,
that be awesome?
yeah.
Maybe even
I don't see why we couldn't.
Get Royal in there and get fucking 3 of us going. That
Yeah,
would actually be fun, dude.
I'm trying to think. That would be fun. I'm trying to think how to make that work. But yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Maybe we just do it without video. Don't worry about video. That complicates things.
Yeah, video
'Cause we
definitely
could ju we could
complicates
do it we
things.
could do it without anything. Just use the fucking, recorder and do the mics.
Well, no, oh no, actually, it wouldn't be a problem. I can't do it yet, but the Zoom makes oh man, it's a podcast specific recorder. It's like the one that I have, except it has 4 inputs,
Oh,
and
nice.
and it's not even that expensive. It's like $150 or $160. Um, I forget the model number, but it has internal recording. Well, I guess like probably an SD card, and
Mhm.
then it's real simple. You have 4 XLR inputs, and then you can adjust the gain per input, obviously, and you can adjust the headphone volume and you can plug headphones into that. And yeah, so we could 100% do
I
that
don't even
once
think we
once I
we wouldn't
buy
even
that.
need headphones really, would we? If we're all sitting right there.
Yeah, not really, not really.
So we can do
Head, head
I can bring my mic over and then we'll have 3 mics.
Yeah,
Just set up
exactly.
3
We
mic
just
stands and fucking sit by the fire, and that would be amazing,
Dude,
dude.
he already has a mic. He's doing a podcast too.
Oh, that's right. I listened to I've started at the most recent stuff and started working my way backwards.
Yeah.
Um,
Um
actually, the last one I got to was ours, as a matter of fact. So I've almost got all the way through I haven't heard either the first 2 you did with April. I haven't heard those yet.
Oh, no. I meant Royale has a podcast.
Well, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said I listened to that podcast. So I was just saying I
Oh,
started listening to
okay.
yours from the most recent one to start working my way backwards, and I got through that one. I heard the one with Hosea, and like I said, I made my way all the way back to ours. Was the last one I actually
Oh
listened
shit,
to.
are you serious?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
I
Well,
think
thanks, man. I appreciate
I don't
that.
think I missed any in between there. Pretty
Well,
sure I didn't.
damn.
I didn't hear the ones with April yet, and I didn't hear the recent one you did with April. So
Yeah. Well, sweet. Cheers. I appreciate that.
yeah, man.
All right, buddy.
And to be honest, I don't know if I should say this on the air, but like the one, the only one I didn't listen to all the way through was the one with what's April's sister's name? I
Yeah.
listened to
A
Amy.
Amy.
I listened to about 45 minutes of it or so, actually, and I was like, "Ah, this is just not information that, you know, I care about." Not to
Yeah,
sound, like, harsh or anything, but
yeah,
it's very specific
yeah.
information.
No, exactly. It's very specific. If you're in that position where you're looking for a job or something, it would be great. But if not, it's a very specific topic. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was. But, yeah, we need to seriously think about doing that, man. Do the campfire thing and
Dude, I'm down. I'm down. Like I say, I need to invest in that anyways, because that's going to be part of my mobile setup. And yeah, we could. And honestly, there's no reason we couldn't have video. It would be probably like just a wide shot
yeah,
of
just do one
everything.
wide shot.
Um, but that's fine. So just to have something,
Mhm.
But yeah, we should do that, man. Yeah, we need to figure out a boys trip too. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun, dude.
Well, what we'll do is we'll do a boys trip
You do a
to
podcast
go
then.
record that, and it'll be a tax
I
write-off.
mean, seriously, we really could. It wouldn't be a bad idea, man.
I hear the audio, the acoustics are good in Hawaii.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sure, yeah.
you know,
No, I wouldn't be opposed to just, like, doing a fucking, cabin for a couple nights or something. In the mountains or
yeah.
some shit, just go hang out and
No, no, we need to go fucking squatching is what we gotta do.
is that a real
Get a
thing?
cabin and go look for Bigfoot.
Oh, you mean, like, on our own?
Well, we could hire a guide.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Wandering in the woods at night. It's kinda scary.
Yeah.
Bet you run into some asshole out there hunting or something.
Oh man, that's funny.
Maybe just
All
do
right,
the
well,
podcast.
yeah, that works. All right, buddy. Well, dude. Well, thanks again, man. I appreciate this.
Yeah, man. It was
All
fun.
right,
It's always fun.
yeah. Well, anytime you want to, man. I'm always here.